Alright everybody, how's it going? This is Rob here. Quick before the video starts, I'm just letting you know this is a new series we're going to be trying. It's going to be once a week with me and Mania Lord of Insanity. His channel's down in the description below. So please be patient. Give us time as we grow the series. Give us time as we grow more comfortable with each other, especially Mania as he gets more used to being on mic, more used to, debating with people, more just give us some time and the quality will improve. Let us know how we're doing in the comments down below, what corrections we need to make, what things we could do better, and we'll take those into consideration for next week's episode. But again, take that into consideration. This was put together. We've been trying to get this done, so please take it easy on us, and I hope you enjoy this attempt at original content and enjoy Uncontested. Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye. Alright everybody, how's it going? You are now listening to Unmatched, which is going to be a weekly sports debate show that will be covering primarily NFL related content, and I'm going to be one of your hosts, Rob, and then I have my other host, which is
Mania here, and I'll be co-hosting this debate show with Rob on his channel, and we'll be transitioning more into baseball stuff as the baseball season starts, and my channel will be down in the description below for if you wanted to subscribe, and I'll be posting regularly again on January.
Okay, so that's basically what the gist of the show is going to be. We're going to be picking random topics from within and around the sports leagues, primarily from the NFL and football, or the MLB and baseball, because those are the sports areas that we feel most comfortable covering. Not the biggest fan of basketball or hockey or soccer or any of the other sports, in my opinion. They're just not as good as what the MLB and what the NFL offer. So of course for today's show, we are going to be covering who we both agree on who the Rookie of the Year is going to be. So there's not much debate that's going to happen within that topic. We'll just go over the two top candidates for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year is obviously Darius Leonard or Derwin James. Take your pick. And then you have, let's see, then we're going to go over who is going to be the MVP, what teams are going to play in the Super Bowl, so what team will win the AFC, what team will win the NFC, and who do we think will eventually end up winning the Super Bowl. And then as a bonus segment, we are going to go over what team we think will rise from the ashes, after a bad season like they had this year, and be sudden contenders, much like the Colts did this season. They went 4-12 last year. Now they're fighting for a playoff spot. So who will be next year's Colts, and who will be next year's Jaguars? A playoff team close to glory that's going to fall off entirely. And yeah, that'll be the basis of what the show will be. And so if you'd like, you can tune in, and we will get started on who we think will be the Rookie of the Year. And Mania, do you want to say who we think will be Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, me and Rob both agree that we believe Baker Mayfield is going to be Rookie of the Year. Like, he took an 0-16 team and turned it into a 7-7-1 team.
Yep, and then everyone would like to say Saquon Barkley, what at the beginning of the year seemed to be the runaway candidate for Rookie of the Year, and really with the stat line that he's had, he could still be in the running for it with 1,200 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, 87 receptions, 688 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He's had an incredible year. I think he's broken the total scrimmage yard set by Eric Dickerson for a rookie, which is about 1,800 yards. I believe he's gone over that. So, I mean, you can't deny the year Saquon's having. He might be the best rookie in football, but all of his numbers and all of his stats have only resulted in the Giants winning like 2 or 3 more games. So I'm a little bit down on that fact that he hasn't really transformed any of the culture. much like our unanimous pick of being Baker Mayfield. He's also had a great season throwing the ball around as a rookie. 64% passing, 3,300 yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Good for a 95.1 rating. And like Mania said, he's gone 7-7-1 with a team that was 0-16, couldn't win games. He's keeping his team in games. He's showing the Browns have fight now, which they didn't have at all last year. And it is primarily due to the fact that this one rookie showed up and has, again, changed the culture of the team. They are no longer a loser team that can be laughed at. They're a team you have to play well and show some respect to, or they will jump up and beat you. And that's all because of one guy, one rookie, Baker Mayfield, the Rookie of the Year, who should be the Rookie of the Year. Anything else on this one?
Yeah. If Baker Mayfield ends up winning next week's game, this will be the first time the Browns ever had a season over 500 since 2007. That's over a decade.
Wow. That's an incredible stat, and I think he has more wins than they've had the last 3 years or 4 years combined. So, I mean, it is what it is. He's made Cleveland a good team. So, anyway, I guess that concludes that. Saquon, again, probably the best rookie in the league, but Baker is the Rookie of the Year. You can figure out what that means by yourself. Alright, so do you want to give... Alright, so the way we're going to do this is, since I went first on this topic, he is going to start, Mania is, with who he thinks will be the MVP. I will give my response to who I think will be the MVP, and then we can pick apart each other's points, if we so choose, at the end of the debate. So, Mania, go ahead and give your choice for MVP of the NFL season.
I believe Drew Brees is deserving of the MVP of this NFL season. He has thrown for 3,992 yards, 32 touchdowns, and has only thrown a total of 5 interceptions. He isn't giving the ball up. He has a passer rating of 115.7, and Drew Brees has proven to be the most accurate quarterback in different quarterback accuracy challenges. After losing the first week, Drew Brees led his team to the longest win streak this entire season, with only one team getting close to tying it, and that was the Texans, with their 9-game win streak. He consistently puts up 30 to 40 points, and even put up 51 points, close to 51 points at one game. Even with them slowing down and resting before the postseason, there were only 2 games where the score was less than 20, the Panthers and the Cowboys. I don't think he's really slowing down himself. I believe that the team is resting because they have clinched home field advantage at this right now. And that's my opening statement.
All right, so I like what you had to say about the points scored, but in the last couple games, again, he's run into the Cowboys, another playoff team. He's won a lot of games. Hold on a second. I got to look up a statistic with this Drew Brees. You say he's having a great year. You mentioned the 3,900 yards, 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, how they're scoring all these points, and how they're beating teams pretty well because of a good defense. Did you know a little bit? I might have to cut some of that out, but my candidate for MVP is the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, which is going to be one Andrew Luck. He has thrown for 4,308 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Yes, he's thrown 14 interceptions, but he doesn't have the luxury to take any kind of throws off. He has to throw more often than Drew Brees because he doesn't have a running game consisting of, fucking Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, who undoubtedly give him an ability to take plays off, which Andrew Luck cannot do. He cannot allow his team to get down because he has nothing to back him up. And if we're going to look at some of his games this year, the same team that Drew Brees was unable to score very many points against, Andrew Luck beat 23-0 in the Dallas Cowboys. Andrew Luck brought his team down 21-0 to the New York Giants, not a very good team, but he brought them back to win that game 28-27. I don't remember a game in which Drew Brees has brought his team back all the way down, multiple scores, and won the game. Andrew Luck has won every close game he's played in this year. He's had multiple games where he scored 30 points. And that's obvious with, the big numbers he's put up. And also, we can look at what the Indianapolis Colts are and what the word MVP means. Most valuable player. Now, when you think of valuable, you think like, what does that mean? He's going to bring lots of wins. He's going to put up big numbers, and he's going to win the biggest games that matter. And that's what Andrew Luck has been doing all year long. And number one, he's the most valuable player in the NFL because without him, the Colts are a 4-win team. I think they won like 8 games the year before that when he wasn't a part of it, but they went 8-8, 4-12, and it would have only gotten worse had Andrew Luck not been able to play this year, should his injuries have still mattered. But now that he's back, all of a sudden the Colts are 9-6, despite having a very spotty record. Their best receiver is Eric Ebron, and he's a bust. All things considered, he's having one good year. T.Y. Hilton's all he has is a real receiver, and it's, he's got less weapons than Drew Brees. He's got less weapons than Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't have the defense that Drew Brees has. He doesn't have the offense that Andrew Luck has. He doesn't have the coaching that Mahomes has, or the coaching that Drew Brees has. Yet Andrew Luck has some of the best numbers in the NFL, winning games on a team that is only 4 wins, that won 4 games last year, and the only real difference is him and Darius Leonard showing up, the defensive rookie of the year. So he's got that on his team, but other than that, it's been Andrew Luck leading the charge. And without him, the Colts are an irrelevant team with 4 or 5 wins. And with him, they're a playoff team, especially after they beat the Titans this weekend. 10-6 after 4-12, 4,300 yards. Going to be about 4,600. Might be 40 touchdowns and maybe 15 picks. I don't know how you don't give him the MVP, considering he has nothing to work with, nothing on his defense, no running game, and a bust at tight end, and he's still putting up big games and winning games on a team that won 4 last year. So I rest my case for Andrew Luck. If you would like, you can go ahead and pick apart what I have to say, and then I will more competently pick apart your Drew Brees argument.
Yeah. Andrew Luck, while he is having a good year, I'd say he's more comeback player of the year and not MVP.
Why can't they be both?
Why can't they be both? Well, if you want to look at with your definition of most valuable player, even Andrew Luck doesn't 100% fit that compared to other players in the league. For example, Deshaun Watson for the Texans, he took the team with the same record as the Colts last year and put on a 9-game win streak.
Yeah, but the Texans
he has them ahead in division.
Texans have J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney. They've got DeAndre Hopkins. They have Will Fuller. They went and got Demaryius Thomas.
They do have a good front line defense, and they do have right now really one good wide receiver right now. Whenever they played against the Colts, Deshaun Watson had to improvise, and he was using a secondary quarterback as wide receivers as well as DeAndre Hopkins. So he has DeAndre Hopkins, but he also has missing pieces as well. He has 0 linemen.
But he didn't have that to work with all year. And I know the Colts have a good line, but he had one of the best receiving cores in football for most of the season. So yeah, they should have won games. Andrew Luck doesn't have anything like that.
Yeah. And well, with the missing pieces of the Deshaun Watson using the quarterbacks, he still kept that game close. Like the Colts and Texans both had close games, both games ending with the difference of being 1 field goal.
That's true.
That's true. And right now the Texans are doing better than the Colts, being as they are ahead of the division and one home game versus, and then it's going to really be the difference on who is the better quarterback between Andrew Luck and Deshaun Watson whenever they play each other in the playoffs. Because it's like almost inevitable. If the Texans lose and Colts win, it's going to be Texans at Colts. If the Texans win and Colts win, it's going to be Colts at Texans. They're going to end up playing each other. The Titans are going to win against the Colts. I agree with you on that. Or the Colts are going to make the playoffs. And
at 10-6 from 4-12.
And Deshaun Watson, he doesn't just throw the ball though. He is more varied. He's able to get out of the pocket because there is no lineman, and he's able to stay up as long as possible to throw the ball down the field. And he also has lots of rushing yards for a quarterback. He has 485 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, but your argument is for not Deshaun Watson, it's for Drew Brees to win the MVP.
Exactly. The problem with comparing Drew Brees and saying that he's the most valuable is we don't really know exactly if without him the Saints will be able to make the playoffs without him, because he's practically been around the whole time. He hasn't really been hurt, so we can't exactly make that kind of comparison. But it could be that the reason why the people that he's throwing to are doing good is because of Drew Brees, because he's able to get the ball to them so they can make plays.
We could say the same for Andrew Luck. T.Y. Hilton's having a great year again now that Andrew's back.
That's kind of exactly why. Drew Brees, you're saying that he has Pro Bowlers, but what they're Pro Bowlers because of him. Drew Brees is making his team good. Andrew Luck
turned Eric Ebron from a bust to a Pro Bowler with what like 15 touchdowns. He's like the best tight end in football all of a sudden this season, working with Andrew Luck.
And again, the argument can be made as of right now until it's proven otherwise. The argument can be made for Drew Brees. He could be making all those black Pro Bowlers on his team. For Drew Brees could be the one making them. And Drew Brees was the one that led his team to home field advantage. And Andrew Luck, he's leading his team fighting for a wild card spot.
But Drew Brees' team went 11-5 last year with 2 rookies of the year in the backfield and 1 on the defense. Andrew Luck's playing on a team with a perennial bust in Eric Ebron and T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, they made.
So the fact that that one guy in Andrew Luck came back and has led his team to nearly being a playoff team, and if they make the playoffs, that to me says he is so valuable. He changes the Colts from a top 5 draft pick team to a playoff team. It's really hard to denote his value at that point as potentially the most valuable player in the league, because without him, an entire team is irrelevant. And without Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs, they were a 10-win team that went first place last year. Alex Smith threw for 4,000 yards and 26 tuds, all career highs. We don't know what the Saints would be. That is correct, but that's because Drew Brees never gets hurt. And I mean, in games where he wasn't really in the game and had a bad game, and they did struggle. They were unable to do anything. So it's just, without Andrew Luck, the Colts are a bad team.
It's a bit hard to make that comparison with the Saints until we 100% for sure see what the Saints are without Drew Brees. That exact comparison is kind of hard to make.
Yep, and the only reason they don't have a lot, well, that's kind of a dumb point. I was gonna say the only reason the Saints don't have a lot other than Michael Thomas is because Drew Brees took too big of a contract and sort of doomed his team to playing younger and having to work in the draft and hit home runs. So you could kind of blame the lack of people around him, only having like a Michael Thomas to throw to. It's his own fault. He took too much money and won't restructure his deal. So I also take that into consideration. He kind of reaps what he sows. And, that is what it is. That's a dumb point. I have nothing really else to say about the MVP other than it should be Andrew Luck's award. And we're probably both wrong. It's going to wind up going to Patrick Mahomes because Patrick
Mahomes shouldn't be getting it though. Like,
I see the award. I see the reason why he's going to get it, because it's a numbers league and numbers matter more than anything. And but I really don't think he deserves it. I mean, if he gets it, that's fine. I mean, I could see, there's really no argument against him winning the award. But, there's other guys that have done more for their team this year, I think. All he's done is take a 10-win team and win 2 more games, throw for 900 more yards and double the scores. I mean, and all them points only resulted in 2 more wins. So, I mean, really think about that. All the numbers he put up resulted in 2 more potential wins than last year. Okay. You still can't beat the biggest teams in the league, Patrick. Your team still can't do that. So
It's going to be a typical Andy Reid team. They're going to end up choking in the playoffs.
yeah, they'll get up to about a 28-0 lead in the first half like they did against Tennessee and then blow it. But anyway, I guess that's all I really have to say about the MVP. What about you? You all set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay, so our next topic then, after we cover the MVP, okay, he's choosing Drew Brees, I'm choosing Andrew Luck, but we both kind of acknowledge that it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Don't comment down below going, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, we know. We know who's going to win the goddamn award. This is who we think should win the award. You know what I mean? And if you go from 4-12 and make the playoffs, you're the MVP in my book. But anyway, next topic. Who do we think will be in the NFC? Who will win the NFC? Who will win the AFC? And then who wins the Super Bowl? So I will start with the National Football Conference, or the NFC, and I'll go first on this one. So I'll give myself about 5 minutes, and then I will move on and let you start talking. So for the NFC, I think it will be the. I actually changed who I think it is going to be.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I do not think it is going to be the Rams anymore. I cannot make that argument safely. No, actually, I'll keep with the Rams. I shouldn't do that. I think I forgot to tell you I did that, and I'll still make the argument for the Rams. Looking at the Bears, but that's a really weird argument, and it's anyway. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep with the Rams because I know I told you who I was going to pick, and that's not very fair to Curveball. So I am going to go ahead and say that I think the Rams are technically the most overmatched team in all of football. You can't match up to them at all. Overmatched, overpowered. They are built for a playoff football team. They have a dominant defensive front in Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald. They have the two of the better corners in football in Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib. Both of them are going to be rested. Everybody on that defense is going to be rested. They all know what they're playing for. I think the fact that the regular season is going to end is going to allow that unit to play closer together and, and play more as a team instead of freelancing for individual awards because they can't get any in the playoffs. They're going to be playing to, get the goddamn Super Bowl trophy, and I think that the defense will stop freelancing and focus, and we will get a better looking Rams defense than we did all year, which actually hasn't looked bad in every game. They've shown flashes of absolute dominance. I think that happens in the postseason. I think their offense is as good as it is. I mean, they're going to have Todd Gurley on fresh legs. He's going to get 3 weeks. They're going to rest him. They rested him last week. They're resting him this week. They're going to rest him. They get the first round bye. They're going to have another week to rest Todd Gurley. So he's going to be coming in on fresh legs. I trust Jared Goff and the offense throwing the ball around. I also think that, yes, they lost to the Bears and the Vikings, or they've lost, the bigger games this year, to the Saints. Yes, they lost to the Bears, but I think they have a brilliant head coach in Sean McVay, who is going to turn the team around and lead them. He's going to study how he lost those games so badly to the Saints, how he lost that game to the Bears. I think he's going to amend those wrongs. It's hard to beat a team twice in the NFL, especially when the head coach is as brilliant and as smart and as innovative as Sean McVay. I like what I see out of the Rams. I think they're a good team. They match up against anybody in the NFC playoffs, like pound for pound. And I don't think it's going to be very easy to win games in LA, especially during the playoffs. So I like the Rams going for the NFC. Now for the AFC, I have one team that will win the American Football Conference, and that is the New England Patriots. And I have one thing to say. Yes, they don't match up well against most of the teams. Yes, they may be, they don't have the firepower. But what I seen them do against the Bills was incredible. It was the most New England thing I've ever seen a team do. They can't throw the ball anymore? All right, so they rush for almost 300 yards. How do you like them apples? We got 3 running backs who are all pretty well healthy. Sony Michel, James White and Rex Burkhead. We can have 3 different guys on any play run the ball, and we could have Cordarrelle Patterson running around out of the backfield to really mess you up. And he can go from a sweep and get the ball and run out. The Patriots are a very dangerous team. They may not be able to play you vertically, but they can pound the ball. And of course, you have Bill Belichick, who knows how to coach, who knows how to win in the playoffs. He knows his defense, and they're tightening up, and they're getting better as the year ends, as a typical Patriots defense does. Yes, they blew that game in Miami, but whatever. Miami's Miami. Here are the playoff. Tom Brady is record versus the NFL. These are the teams that he'll be playing. This is his all-time record with, him and Bill's all-time record together against the teams in the playoffs, and that's what I will end why I think New England's going to win it, because Baltimore is 8-3 against Tom Brady. Let's see, who else is in the stupid playoffs? 8-3 Baltimore, not a problem. 9-1 Houston, not a problem. 15-4 Indy, not a problem. 5-1 against 6-3 against Kansas City, not worried. Let's see, who else? Pittsburgh, we're 11-2 against if they get in. 8-2 versus the Chargers, not worried. So, and 7-1 against the Tennessee Titans. Do you think that the Patriots are really worried about playing any of these teams that have a collective like 6 wins, 7 wins against them? Not really. Belichick owns those teams. Brady owns all these playoff teams. And guess what? The road goes through New England, even if it goes into Kansas City. And we know Kansas City's going to lose the game, so sorry, everybody. And guess what? And let's see, what's Tom Brady's record against the Rams? 4-1 versus the Los Angeles Rams in the Super Bowl, but I think that will go to 4-2 and the Rams will beat the Patriots. I think Sue and Donald just destroy that game, and I will give the victory to the Rams. It'll be a weird game, like 14-7 with the Rams winning, because of, their front 7 being far too much. Because if the Rams make it to the Super Bowl, that means their defense has come to life, and I don't know if the Patriots stand a chance against a red-hot Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald. Good luck. That's who I think. Patriots versus Rams in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady owns the AFC. I don't care if times are changing. It doesn't matter in the playoffs. We've seen it year in, year out. And with the NFC, I think if the Rams can come together on defense, you're not going to stop them. Good luck. Rams win the Super Bowl. Time.
Okay. Well, with me, I have 2 completely different teams. The different team for the AFC, the different team for the NFC. For the NFC, I have the Saints winning the NFC. The reason for that is because, well, first, the Bears, I think they will throw their game against the Vikings so that they play them in the playoffs, because I think the Bears are going to be smart.
Why would the Bears
look at the Eagles? They're going to look at the Eagles and see that they are a good team, and then they're going to see how the Rams are probably going to end up winning this game, so where even if they win, they're probably not going to get the home field advantage. So if they throw the game against the Vikings, they're going to end up playing the Vikings, a team that they have a better chance against than, let's say, the Eagles, who, with Nick Foles and the way when they were playing at this level last year, took it all the way to the Super Bowl and beat the New England Patriots.
I'd rather play the Eagles defense in the playoffs than the Vikings. Just my own food for thought.
Yeah, but that's what I think would happen. So it'd be Vikings at Bears, and I think the Bears would end up winning that game, because I just think they're a better team than the Vikings. And then when it comes to the Seahawks, the Cowboys, I think this will be the only game that the Cowboys will be able to play their type of game. They're going to end up doing the first score, and then they're going to end up running the clock, and their defense is going to be really, really good at home. And that's just going to be the only game where they get to play at their own level. And that's just the way they play. And I feel like these 2 games, the Vikings, Bears, and Seahawks, and Cowboys, they're going to be pretty low-scoring games. They're going to be close, but low-scoring games. And then you have the Bears at Rams, and then the Bears at Rams, and then the Cowboys at Saints. Like the Bears at Rams. The Rams, I just think the Rams. They are a good team. I will give you that. But the Rams, they have played the Bears, they played the Saints, they played the Eagles, and all those teams that are right now potential teams that the Rams are going to face. Those are all teams that beat them. The Rams, I just think they're not going to be able to pull it through on this one. They're going to get the first round bye, but I don't think the Rams are going to win like any playoff games this year. I think they're going to end up playing not at their full potential, and they're just going to fall to the Bears. And the Cowboys, they're going to go into the Saints, and they won't be able to play their kind of. They're not going to be able to play at their level. The Cowboys, they're going to lose to the Saints because the Saints are going to score first. Drew Brees and the Saints, they're going to be done resting. They're going to play at their full level, and they're going to throw, and they're going to get revenge on the Cowboys. The Cowboys are just going to have to try to play catch up, and they're not good at that. They're not good at catch up, so they're going to fall to the Saints. And then you'll have the Bears at the Saints, and while they both will, the Bears and Saints, they will play both tough, semi-emotional games at that point. And Drew Brees will be playing his heart out because I believe he will be playing at full level 100% throughout the playoffs, because this, I believe, will be like Drew Brees' last chance to win the Super Bowl again. And so he will be giving it his all. It will be everything on this. And the Bears, they would have played against the Vikings, and they would have played a really good game against the Rams. The defense, I fired at that point, and Drew Brees will take advantage of the Bears' weakened defense. You know, they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. Like, there could be things that play out differently that I can see. Like, if the Bears end up playing the Eagles, I can see this differently. And if the Rams end up beating the Bears, I can see it differently too. Because I think if the Rams beat the Bears, I think they could end up beating the Saints. But like, other than those two things, I think the Saints will end up going all the way to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
You know, I don't have the Patriots.
Sorry, you cut out.
Pats hater because I did have them going into Super Bowl 51 and winning, and I had them going into Super Bowl 52 and winning. And then even at the beginning of this year, I was thinking that the Patriots could make it again, because the Patriots have shown that you should never doubt them, no matter what. But from what I have been seeing this year, the loss to the Eagles, while it was bad, again, never doubt them. But then this year, you bring up how all these teams in the playoffs, they have a losing record against Brady. Brady just doesn't lose to these teams. Well, the Steelers in the regular season, Brady just doesn't lose to the Steelers. He has a winning record against the Steelers. The Steelers fall to him on a regular. Yet this season, he fell to the Steelers. And the
Steelers played that.
Well.
Patriots played that game lazily. The Steelers played that game like it was the Super Bowl. Did you watch how they played that game?
Yeah, but the Steelers, they aren't that well tuned. Like, they may have played their
The
heart
Steelers,
out,
the Steelers are a good team when they want to be. We've seen them do it against the Patriots and against the Saints. They're a good team when they want to be a good team. They're just lazy, and they played that game like it was their Super Bowl to beat the Patriots.
But that's proved. But the Steelers beat the Patriots, and that's the point. Brady may have a winning record against a team like the Texans. He may have a winning record against the teams in the playoffs, right? But these are different teams, and they're going to be playing their heart out. And Brady isn't playing at his normal level. Brady will be. He's never. The reason why he's been able to play a lot longer than most QBs and all that is because he doesn't rely on his. Because he does have a lack of skills in that area. He wasn't drafted for his skills. He was drafted just because, oh, well, look, there's a QB, why not?
Yeah.
He was given a chance because he was determined and he had a high football IQ. And his high football IQ has kept him in the running a lot longer than most QBs would have.
Yeah, but
So he's been around a lot longer because of that. But I believe he's finally...
So we know that the Patriots aren't going to be your selection, but who's going to be the AFC?
The Texans. I believe the Texans are going to make it because their first game against the Colts, it's the AFC. If you thought the NFC was going to be crazy, you haven't seen the AFC yet. It's going to be every single game is going to be an emotional game. You have the Colts at Texans. That's going to be an emotional game, and they've played each other twice already because they're divisional rivals. Both games, again, were a difference of a single field goal. Texans won the first time with a difference of a field goal. Colts won the second time with the difference of a field goal. This game will be crazy close, and it's going to be, again, a difference of a field goal. And this time, I think Deshaun Watson, with the way he plays in the spotlight, with the way he played in the NCAA playoffs, he played in the NCAA playoffs, and he plays
college football means nothing to the NFL.
It does not. It should transition. It should transition because he plays well in the spotlight.
Yeah, so did a lot of quarterbacks. So did Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, he plays well in the spotlight, and hopefully it will transition well. And hopefully O'Brien hopefully will have shed his curse. He's supposed to never beat the Patriots, but he's also supposed to never have over 9 wins in a season, and they've already got 10 wins. So they've already shed some of the O'Brien curse.
Yeah, but you've already said you guys have no real defense, no offensive line. How are you going to match up if you have to play like the Chargers with Melvin Ingram, or how about, you know, some of these teams with these defenses, the Ravens?
The Ravens, the Texans. I don't think the Texans and the Ravens are going to end up meeting. The Chargers are going to end up beating the Ravens, and then they're going to, because I think the Chargers are going to be the better team there, and they're going to beat the Chiefs.
Ravens already beat the Chargers pretty handily.
Yeah, but like you said, it's kind of hard to beat a team twice now, isn't it?
Yeah, but what answer does any team have to Lamar Jackson right now? It's hard to beat a team twice, yeah, but most teams don't have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson who can beat you in 2 ways.
Yeah, well, the Chargers, they're going to find a way because they are, well, this is just like how Drew Brees is going to be playing his heart out. I believe Rivers is going to be playing his heart out because this may be his final chance as well. He's not going to make it, but he's going to be playing his heart out. He's going to beat the Ravens. It's going to be another close game, emotional game.
And Jonathan Joseph's going to be able to cover all those receivers for for the Chargers?
No, and I don't think the secondary. I think Watson, the defense secondary, will allow the Chargers to score points. But Watson has proven that he can score points as well. He can play with some of the best. It won't be a problem against the Patriots. Patriots don't really throw down the field anymore. So, but we have a great defensive line. We can get past the Patriots, and we can get past the Colts because we play close games. The question is with the Chargers, and I believe the Chargers at that point, it'll be Phillip Rivers. They're going to end up choking again. It's a question. Which team's going to choke first? Chargers versus Texans. They're both teams that choke in the playoffs.
So do you think the Chargers play the Texans for the AFC?
Yeah, for the AFC, and I think the Chargers are going to end up being the ones that choke. And then when it comes to the Super Bowl, Drew Brees specializes in throwing down the field. There really is no chance for the Texans at all against Drew Brees. Well, Deshaun Watson may be able to catch up with Phillip Rivers when it comes to his defense giving up points. He'll be able to bring back those points on offense. I don't think he will be able to do the same thing against the Saints. So he's going to make it to the Super Bowl, but then he's going to fall to the Saints because he just can't catch up and keep up with Drew Brees like he will be able to against Phillip Rivers.
All right, so I like the Saints potentially going to the Super Bowl. They have the defense, they have the offense to do it. I don't know if they have, you know, how well they match up against these super elite defenses, like if they run into the Cowboys. I don't know how well that game's going to go for them. They've already proven they don't have an answer for a defensive swarm. If you can get pressure on Drew Brees, the whole game plan for the Saints completely erodes, and we've seen that. We've seen it against Carolina, who almost upset them. So we've seen there's a formula to beat the Saints. And if a capable playoff team has their hands on it and they're not the Carolina Panthers, I think that spells doom for them. Especially a team like the Bears, who might be just a little too much for the Vikings or for the Saints. That's particularly why I was going to change to the Bears. I think they can win despite Nagy. You can look at the Peyton Manning season in Denver, which, I mean, that was horrible. And then with the AFC, I think the Texans are as good and as young as they are. I just don't think they have the secondary. Should they run into Kansas City? Should they run into a Chargers team that can throw the ball? other than that, they look all right. I don't know how well they'll match up against the Patriots. They just can't seem to beat that team. Yeah, I got nothing really else.
I just believe that this year the Patriots won't be making the Super Bowl because Tom Brady isn't playing at his normal level, and he's already lost.
He's got no one to throw to.
Yeah, so the secondary won't really be a problem against the Texans, and they have a great front line with like J.J. Watt and Merciless.
Yeah, so did the Bills. We ran for 270 yards on them.
Yeah, but they didn't have J.J. Watt.
Yeah, it is the Bills. You know, they have a good defense.
Yeah, but then
number 2 in yards per game, and we've 270 rushing yards on them.
Yeah, the Bills. I'm not sure. What are the Bills' offense like? Do they have a good offense? No.
No.
Yeah.
Josh Allen still. But anyway, want to move on from this topic, or do you still have a little bit more you want to say on the matter?
Not so much. We can move on to the rise and fall.
Yep. And you go first on that, I believe. So, a couple reasons why you think a team's going to fall, and did you narrow it down to just one team, or is it still 3?
I still have 3, but I can pick one if you want.
Yeah, let's just do one of each example. So we'll have a team. Mania is about to give a team he thinks that will rise from the ashes of a bad season, much like the Colts did this season, or fall from the heavens to have a bad year like the Jaguars did. So go ahead, Mania, give your teams and a couple reasons why, and we'll try and do this a little quicker.
Okay, well, I believe I'm gonna narrow it down to the Cowboys, because the Cowboys, like the Steelers, they're already gone. The Chargers, they still have a chance, but the Cowboys, I believe they're gonna fall because they made the playoffs, sadly. Yes, they're gonna be able to keep a lot of their players, but the reason why they won the division was because the division just kind of collapsed around them. The Redskins and Eagles, they were supposed to be better than the Cowboys. The Eagles, they just kind of, struggled at the beginning, but if they're able to find their way next year early on, like they're able to later on this year, they will be a team to be reckoned with in their division, and Cowboys won't be past them. And the Redskins, the only reason why the Cowboys are past the Redskins is because the Redskins just got injured galore. Like, they were just gone. They lost both their quarterbacks. They lost a lot of people. The Redskins are just like, the Redskins are the Texans last year. So the Cowboys, because they won the division, they're gonna keep all the players. They're gonna keep Dak Prescott. They're gonna keep people, and then it's gonna end up, they're not gonna focus on the right pieces, and it's gonna end up hurting them next season once the Eagles are good and once the Redskins are healthy again. And the Cowboys are just gonna be sitting there in third, like right above the Giants, and they're gonna be like, hey, Giants. And my rising team, like, no, they're not at the bottom of the barrel this year, but I believe they will be first in division, and they're going to rise the most, and that's going to be the Browns. The reason why I chose the Browns is, again, they, with one piece, Baker Mayfield, they went from 0-16 to 7-7-1, potentially 8-7-1, with an over 500 season for the first time since 2007. Now, that's great. If they can find the additional pieces to go with Baker Mayfield, they basically have the vision. Because if they can complement Baker Mayfield with signing good receivers, maybe a good running back, drafting defensive players to help the defense, the Browns will be a team to reckon with, and they're going to like switch places with the Steelers. Like, the Steelers are going to go bye-bye to the bottom, and then the Browns, they're going to be up at the top. But that's if they don't do their own Brown stuff. Like, they've had talent before and they've wasted it, and they just kind of, they're known for shitting the bed. They're the Browns, so that's aptly named for shitting the bed. So hopefully they'll be able to shed their whole not knowing how to use their talent, and they're able to complement Baker Mayfield's talent and not waste this talent like they have done in the past. And maybe they'll be able to change their name from Browns to, so they can not be aptly named after shitting the bed.
All right, is that what you have for your improvement and disimprovement for teams anyway?
That's what I have.
For the rise and fall anyway. Yep. All right, so in this segment, we're not debating anyone's choices. We're just going to give our picks, and then we'll end the show because we are actually getting close to the end. We've been going for about 44 minutes now. So my teams, though, are a little different than yours. I like who you picked. I could definitely see it happening. I think the Cowboys will be good for a little while longer, but eventually they'll fall contracts. They have to pay too many people. I definitely see it. I think the Lions will be one of the teams to improve next year, and will have quite the squad to boot. And there's 5 reasons why I actually think so. And I think number one, we can look at the defense development. They've started the season pretty bad at defense, and now, they've gotten better up front against the run. You can look at it. Their numbers have improved dramatically with Damon Harrison coming in. They have Ashawn Robinson. Their defensive backfield's has got some holes. They're prone to a big play or two, but with the right signing, a right pick, like a couple, another corner, a new safety because Glover Quinn's getting old and might retire. You fix that up pretty quickly. The linebackers have developed nicely. The group hasn't gotten worse this season. They've improved in every statistic since the start of the year. So if you go look at how they started the year, how the year's gone on, it's nothing but improvement. So that's something to look forward to. They're going to draft. They're going to develop more under Matt Patricia, who's a very good defensive coach. Their rookie development has been incredible. So they're hitting home runs by drafting in the last 3 years. They've gotten guys like Taylor Decker, Gerard Davis, Ashawn Robinson, Graham Glasgow, and Frank Ragnow. They found Kenny Galladay, Kerryon Johnson, Deshaun Hand, Tracy Walker, Tyrell Crosby, and Jamal Agnew. All guys with very intriguing stories who seem to be potential breakout players that they've drafted in the last 3 years. They've been hitting home runs in drafts, and that is largely in part because of general manager Bob Quinn, who understands football and how to build teams, as he was the talent scout for the New England Patriots. So eventually we're going to see dividends giving off to the Detroit Lions of his drafting. We're seeing it. A lot of these young guys start right away because they're just better than what we have, and they're rookies. Another reason the Lions will improve: next season we're going to get Marvin Jones back. We're going to have Kerryon Johnson back. We're also going to see Kenny Galladay the year after his breakout season. He had 1,000 yards in 2018. He even said he didn't think he would hit 1,000 yards this year, but he's done that. He's been the focal point of the Lions offense. He's proven he can be the leader of it. He can prove he's a number one wide receiver. 1,000-yard season, only guy on the team with it. He can be even better in the future when you put into the fact we're going to add a tight end potentially. We're going to have our star running back. We're going to have our wide receivers back. Matt Patricia as the head coach is another run. Obviously, good, smart football guy. And the biggest reason, 9 draft picks for the Detroit Lions in the 2019 draft. You heard me right. The Lions have 9 motherfucking draft picks. So guess who's got the big dick at the draft this year? And one of those picks are going to be within the top 5 picks of the draft. So guess what? The Lions can fix every hole they want to. They can trade for players because they have draft capital. 4 of those picks are in the last 2 rounds where teams are going to want, you can play around with those picks pretty good. It's, of course, ABO to obtain players and move around in the draft. It's going to make them aggressive in the day of the draft, which is something Bob Quinn likes. He's got some leverage. And the team I think that is going to fall off is sadly... I think that the team that'll fall off is the New Orleans Saints. Breeze is going to turn 40 years old. And at 40 years old, you can start to question the longevity of a quarterback. He could completely fall off a cliff in the offseason, have one good game, and then turn out to be like Peyton Manning, can't throw it 30 yards without a wobble. I think there are certain signs, like Marshawn Lattimore hasn't played as well this season. Signs that he may be getting exposed. Teams are still throwing at him, even though he's the reigning Rookie of the Year, a Pro Bowl. He's had a good year. Kamara fell off a little bit. Ingram, not as good a year. It seems like there's some falling off happening, a bit of slumping. I just don't remember Kamara having the year he had. Plus, you're going to have to, Ingram's going to be a free agent. You don't have a ton of money. You only have $19 million in cap space. Te'o's going to want to get paid. You got a lot of things happening. Michael Thomas is eventually going to have to get paid. He could sit out if he doesn't want to play on a one-year contract or on a franchise. So they have a lot of things to think about. $19 million in cap space, still hammered by Drew Brees' contract. He needs to restructure that. Will he do that? I don't know. He might just retire. Then what do? They're fucked. I think the Saints are in for a nice fall off. They've done well, but eventually everyone's going to have to get paid. And they have no money. So that's the biggest problem. And Drew Brees is old. But those are my teams. Lions to rise, Saints to fall. I don't really have much else to say. What about you, Mania? I'm all talked out.
No, I don't have too much more to say either.
But all right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and putting up with this first episode of Uncontested. Anyway, sorry, I forgot the name for a second. Yep, our show is called Uncontested. We will be doing this maybe once or twice a week, and the shows will get better as we both improve with our, with our chemistry on air together. Awkwardness, all that kind of will work itself out. I thank you guys for listening. Please like the video if you like what we're doing here and you want to see more of it. Comment down below what you think, who your MVP is, who your Rookie of the Year is, who your Super Bowl teams are, who your rise and fall candidates are, and I'll get back to you what I think about them. Anything, down in the comments. You know how I am. I'll comment. I'll respond to anything you have to say. So please leave that. Subscribe to Mania, Lord of Insanity's channel. That'll be in the description down below. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here too, so don't forget about that. I don't know. Thank you guys so much for listening to this DrTV presentation. Tune in next week for another episode of Uncontested with Mania and Rob. Have a great night. I'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.